Torghar is located in the northernmost part of Toba Kakar range in Qilasaifullah district of Balochistan province in Pakistan. Torghar means black mountain in Pashto. It is a chain of ruggedly upturned, predominantly sedimentary ridges approximately 100 kilometers long and 15 to 30 kilometers wide with an average altitude of 2,800 meters. The Torghar area is characterized by strong seasonality in temperature and precipitation. Rainfall is scanty and irregular throughout the year, but in winter heavy snowfall occurs and high winds pile the snow in deep drifts. As a result of the snowfall on the high ground, there are many springs and permanent streams. Climate is arid and the vegetation is semi-desert characterized by steppe type of vegetation that vary with elevation and substrate. Shrub steppe plant communities dominate the semi-desert landscape of Torghar Hills. Bunch grasses, forbs, wild almonds, wild cherry, ephedra, artemisia and other shrubs occur along upland slopes with cargana and tamarisk common in low-lying areas and drainage ways where water is available. Many medicinal plants are collected and used locally by the community. Some plants like cumin and resins of many wild species are also collected for sale to supplement their income. The lower slopes from 1,000 to 2,000 meters of the hills have largely been denuded of trees. Those trees that remain are wildly scattered and consist primarily of wild pistachio, juniper, and ash. Torghar is inhabited by the Jogezai, a branch of Sanzarkhel Kakar tribe of the Pashtuns, or Pathans as they are called by the outsiders. The Pathans are the world's largest tribal society with millions of members in Afghanistan and Pakistan, having their own language Pashto, culture and complex tribal hierarchy. The Jogezais of Torghar are divided into several clans, and each of these clans own a specific area of the mountain, the hills, or plains. The total population of Torghar is about 3,000 people. The Jogezais of Torghar are semi-nomadic pastoralists who tend large flocks of sheep and goats. Most families have permanent residence in the mountains, where some members of the family live year-round while other members of the family move seasonally with their flocks. The wilderness of Balochistan has long been famous for its abundant and diverse wildlife. Its mountains once contained populations of Sulieman Markhor, Sindh ibex, Urial, leopard, and in some places black bear. The Torghar mountain was considered one of the most important wildlife areas of northern Balochistan. For centuries, people living in these mountains depended on its natural resources for survival. Although a few hunters were proficient and killed large numbers of animals, primitive weaponry and scarcity of ammunition limited the number of animals that were killed overall. Then, from the middle of the 20th century, the situation gradually changed. The rapid growth of population and relative economic progress in nearby towns and villages resulted in an increase in the numbers of hunters and poachers. The newly rich acquired weapons and vehicles, and newly built roads brought the once out of the way wildlife habitats within reach. Starting in the late 1970s, the Afghan War initiated a steady flow of weapons and ammunition into the area. As a result, wildlife populations dwindled throughout northeastern Balochistan, and Torghar was no exception. By the early 1980s, its Sulieman Markhor and Afghan Urial populations were reduced to mere remnants. It was in this scenario when in 1984, tribal leaders concerned with the decline of Sulieman Markhor and Afghan Urial in Torghar sought assistance from wildlife biologists in the USA. A conservation plan was prepared by experts of the US Fish and Wildlife Service. The objectives were to conserve the biodiversity of Torghar and to improve the economic conditions of the communities through sustainable use of the natural resources of the area. 7 game guards were selected from within the tribesmen who would enforce a ban on hunting. It was decided that the program would be funded through the proceeds generated by a controlled limited trophy hunting of Afghan Urial, primarily by foreign hunters. The controlled trophy hunting of animals was a critical component of the plan and had twofold objectives. Firstly, it was to generate sufficient revenues to underwrite the game guard program, and secondly, to create a strong linkage between the abundance of Urial and Markhor populations and economic well-being of the local people. Biannually, nearly 50,000 nomadic Pathan tribesmen pass through with their camel caravans and large herds of sheep and goats through Torghar. In the spring, these nomads migrate north to their pasture lands in Afghanistan and return south in the autumn. Through the centuries, they have been hunting small and big animals along their ancestral migration routes. When the Torghar project was first started, one of the major problems faced was how to convince these nomads that the centuries-old right and tradition of killing wild animals in these hills and mountains had ended. In spring and autumn of 1985, the newly appointed game guards were posted at different points of entry into the protected area of Torghar to inform approaching tribesmen that hunting was banned. It was indeed a relief when all of these well-armed nomads agreed without argument to respect the new law. This good sense prevailed because the nomads did not want to jeopardize their safe passage through Jogezai tribal territory by asserting their natural right to hunt wild animals in Torghar. Markhor is a subspecies of wild goat. The Sulieman subspecies of Markhor has a limited distribution that includes the rugged mountains of western Pakistan and some parts of Afghanistan. It has been extirpated from much of its former range and now occurs in very low numbers. Markhor is on the Red Data Book of IUCN and is also placed on Appendix 1 of CITES. There are two recognized subspecies of Markhor, flared horn Markhor and straight horn Markhor. It has been declared as the national animal of Pakistan. The straight horn Markhor is only found in Balochistan province, and that too in tribal areas. Most of the habitat of this subspecies does not have any sort of protection with the exception of Torghar. In Torghar, due to timely intervention, it has been brought back from the verge of extinction. The surveys conducted by Dr. Kurt Johnson of the US Fish and Wildlife in 1994 showed a population to be about 700. In 1997, a survey by Michael Frizina, Dr. Charles Woods, and Dr. Michael Woodford revealed that population of Markhor to be 1,300. The current Markhor population figures, according to 1999 survey conducted by Michael Frizina, are 1,684. Urial is a species of wild sheep. In Pakistan, because of the threat of heavy local poaching and competition from domestic livestock grazing, it is now only found in lesser numbers in scattered pockets of rugged mountainous areas. The subspecies found in Torghar is Afghan Urial. The population in 1994 was estimated to be 1,200. In 1997, it was 1,500 animals, and according to the latest survey of 1999, its population is 1,742. All the three surveys were conducted by the American scientists sent by the US Fish and Wildlife Service. Torghar is also known for its diverse population of small mammals, including pika, stone marten, jards, etc. Afghan mole vole, a species considered to be extinct from Pakistan, was rediscovered while making this film on Torghar.
And of course, the most spectacular of all is the mole rat, the Afghan or Quetta mole rat as it was once called, known from very few specimens, not having been collected in over 100 years really in Pakistan, never photographed adequately. So we were able to collect it, photograph it, follow up on the earlier film footage to really pinpoint where it is found, find out something about its natural history, confirm when it breeds, how many babies it has, how deep its burrows are, how it goes about living in this very difficult and austere climate, which is very cold or very hot. So we're very pleased.
Common reptiles found in the area include monitor lizard, Afghan tortoise, snakes and vipers. Even though the area has not been fully studied for reptiles, Torghar has been identified as a center of endemism for reptiles. Two brief surveys in 1996 and 1997 by Pakistan Museum of Natural History resulted in discovery of two totally new species from the area. One, a subspecies of rock agama, and the other, a new species of bent-toed gecko. Even though there has been no systematic surveys of birds, about 78 species of birds have been recorded from the area. Out of these, about 62 species breed in Torghar, and the rest are passage migrants or wintering here. The first and only confirmed record of breeding of hawfinch in the entire subcontinent is from Torghar. Torghar, besides providing a safe sanctuary to large mammals, is also perhaps the only protected breeding area in Balochistan for game birds like chakor, sisi partridge, and imperial sand grouse. Chakor, recently declared as a national bird of Pakistan, was once found throughout northern Balochistan, but the disturbance of the breeding grounds, hunting and trapping pressure has drastically reduced the population. Sisi partridge occupies a larger range. It thrives in areas with extreme temperatures, but it is also under threat throughout its range. Torghar is the last stronghold of internationally threatened straight horn markhor and boasts the largest population anywhere. The population of Afghan Urial in Torghar is also the largest in Pakistan. It is also a safe haven for many species of birds. It has also proved to be an important area in terms of diversity of small mammals and reptiles. Detailed studies of other groups of animals and flora will definitely reveal further importance of this habitat. Torghar Conservation Project has proved that a species cannot be protected unless the communities living in the vicinity are willing to do so. The willingness of the communities to protect their natural resources greatly depends upon the clear and well-established linkage between the natural resource conservation and the development of the area. Torghar has also proved how traditional institutions of decision-making can be used proactively to protect natural resources and at the end result in devolution of more power to the grassroots.
What we're doing is putting together tables that show centers of biodiversity. In a global sense, what they call them is hotspots. They're looking for areas with very high levels of biodiversity and places where if one puts a minimum amount of effort in, a large number of species can be preserved, as opposed to other places where you have to put a lot of effort in to preserve just one or two species. So I think everybody is looking for economical ways of conducting conservation biology, and Torghar seems a splendid place to put some investment It has a high level of biodiversity.